I feel like we have like different postures about this. Well, like not really. I just feel like I'm probably more bullish. And if I'm trying to think like if I were someone new and an intern and, maybe I had some ideas that I wanted to share, like maybe I would have been a bit more timid in younger years, but now I feel I would just say things. I've learned that like sometimes just because someone's a bit more senior than you doesn't mean that they have better ideas than you or better, like there's so much you can learn. I think a good manager makes sure there's a great, two-way communication between the people they have on their team and who they have so they're not missing out on some of that stuff. But I try to think of like if I were in that position and I felt like I didn't have that two-way dialogue, what would I do? And I feel like I'd be more bullish now and I wouldn't really care as much about stepping on people's toes, but I don't know if that's like a great answer for this kind of question. So I'm curious what you would say, Mike.
Well, yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I don't think I wouldn't recommend going into something thinking, how can I avoid stepping on someone's toes? That's just not the mindset to have. But I do think you want to have some like a level of self-awareness to know that you're not necessarily being overbearing, because we've talked about being willing and available and creative, having ideas, being willing to try things. Those are all fantastic traits. None of those are overbearing. It may be that sometimes that causes someone else to feel threatened if they're not willing to be like that. But I don't think you need to worry about that. That's not within your control. And that shouldn't change the positive traits that you bring to the table in the capacity of your role. I would say it is important to be humble, and that's one of the traits that we look for. And I'm just trying to think of things that I've learned from people that are more experienced than me. And one of them I would say is just having the mindset of like making other people look good. Um, I want to make sure that we don't portray humility as being like self-deprecating or putting yourself down or diminishing your ability, because that's definitely not something that we encourage. But having a team mindset where, especially with your superiors, maybe the leader on your team, but also with your cohort, like your peers, the people at your level, any opportunity you can take while still maintaining those other traits of creativity and iteration and humility and stuff like that. Any opportunity you can have to make them or you as a team collectively look good without necessarily needing to have all the credit is a great way to show up as a top performer and still be really keen and have a bullish posture without just like being a bull in the china shop and breaking things and hurting people and rubbing people the wrong way. And I think any like good leader will recognize that, it's easy to see who's contributing and who's not. So even if it was your idea but you uplift the team and share the credit, like it's still going to be evident that it was your idea, at least eventually. So because you're going to be the one that keeps showing up that way. So yeah, that would be my kind of like unpolished quick reaction to that question. I don't know if Mitzi, you have anything else after hearing that.
No, I feel like I learned that from you too. Like looking for, because we kind of experience this sometimes. Say we have like a new client and maybe they're like a bigger corporate client and you're kind of like dealing with a few different relationships or a few different like stakeholders. And there are sometimes stakeholders who maybe like want to assert more dominance or maybe feel like they want to set more boundaries. And then there's another stakeholder who's like, run with it, go crazy. And you have to balance the two and still like appeal to that person who's like creating some more boundaries and maybe is a bit more like more difficult to work with or get things past. And you, Mike, told me to like try to make that person look good. So like whoever, and even asking them overtly, like, what can I do to make you look good? Like, I think that's a question we've asked some of our clients because knowing that they have stakeholders above them, like, how can we make you look good? Like, that's a question everyone loves to get. And then it kind of makes you like co-collaborators. It kind of changes like the relationship a little bit. So even asking and being like outright with that, I think people, it's also so direct that it's kind of like takes you aback a little bit. So I think
It's
like you taught me
disarming.
that. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely disarming. So even like asking those questions would be cool.